The opposition leader Tony Abbott wants the Navy to take fuel from asylum seeker boats to prevent them from reaching Australian territory. His latest push to turn back the boats came as the Navy escorted another 162 asylum seekers, including children, to Christmas Island. The government is again feeling the pressure from its double policy dilemma, asylum seekers and carbon pricing. Julie Gillard is considering changes to the floor price for carbon emissions. But experts are warning that could undermine investment in low emissions technology. Melissa Clarke reports from Canberra.
Another 162 asylum seekers have arrived at Christmas Island, delivered by the Australian Navy. The Defence Force was mobilised yesterday after a distress call from the boat when it was just 50 nautical miles into its journey from Indonesia.
Sometimes it's a false alarm, sometimes it's the real thing. We treat every one of those calls seriously because our top priority is saving lives at sea.
There's been no shortage of distress calls, with more than 2,000 asylum seekers arriving by boat in a little over a month. Authorities say as long as asylum seekers attempt the dangerous sea journey, they'll need to go to their aid.
We're talking about people's lives here. I mean, we respond to issues as we need to.
The opposition has repeatedly vowed to turn back the boats, and today Tony Abbott went further.
What used to happen under the Howard government was that naval personnel would board boats. They would ensure that they were seaworthy. They would remove fuel from the vessels so that the only option for those vessels was to return to Indonesia.
The government's condemnation was swift.
Turning the boats back is a highly dangerous plan, which risks the lives of asylum seekers and Australia's Defence Force personnel. It is just wrong-headed.
For all the boat arrivals and political acrimony, the policy debate is static, and it's likely to remain that way for some time. And then there's the other seemingly endless policy battle, carbon pricing. It may be up and running now, but there's still plenty of haggling over the details. The price per tonne of greenhouse gas emissions is fixed for 3 years at $25 a tonne. Then it moves to a floating price, but won't be allowed to fall below $15 a tonne. The government is willing to tweak that floor price, but by how much? Well, the government is playing its cards close to its chest.
We're consulting on the floor price and there's nothing new in that.
Well, I'm not getting into the hypotheticals of that. We've got a fixed price for 3 years.
The carbon tax has only been in place for 5 days, and already they're talking about how to fix it. Well, there's only one way to fix it, and that's to get rid of it.
The government is being lobbied to significantly drop the floor price, scrap it altogether, or at least move to a floating price earlier. But that could undermine the scheme.
If there's no constraints whatsoever, no floor price, no quantity constraints, then the price could crash from $25 down to $5, and our emitters would have hardly any incentive at all to actually take action domestically and invest in low-carbon alternatives.
The Australian National University's Dr Frank Iozzo has surveyed high-emitting businesses, carbon financiers and carbon market experts.
80% of the experts that we surveyed think that by 2020 there will be a carbon price in place in Australia. However, 40% of them think that the current legislation will be repealed by the middle of the decade. So you've got a very peculiar situation.
A peculiar and politically uncertain road ahead for the carbon market. Melissa Clarke, Late Line.